Good morning, everybody, and welcome, and just on time. Well, you're fashionably on just exactly on time, like Dave and the girls normally are. But I always get a little bit worried when I have to start a live on my own.
No, sorry about that. I keep forgetting that when you do your videos, they're live. So I can think, I come in a couple of minutes late, and if I say to you, "Hey, I just have a quick toilet break," you'll go, "Yeah, that's fine." No, but we're live, so that's good. I'll just shut a couple of things down on my computer because I hate it when it dings and makes all funny noises.
Yes. So how's things in lovely sunny Cairns?
It's great. It's starting to really warm up, which is really good. So I don't take to the cold very well.
Okay. Well, that's why you live in the tropics.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I can wear t-shirts most of the year, and I wear shorts most of the year. So I think even if I was in Cairns the whole year, I would not put long pants on unless I was going out somewhere.
Oh, okay. Dressing up.
Dressing up, yeah.
Do you wear your thongs?
Do I wear my thongs? These?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got them on at the moment.
Doesn't know. And just sort of thinking, are there any particular sort of tomorrow's International Podiatry Day, if anybody didn't know. It's October 2020. And so are there any particular sort of things related to living in the tropics or for foot conditions, Tyson?
Yeah, there are. But that's why what's really funny when someone will talk about, say, chilblains, I just go, I wouldn't even know I wouldn't recognize one because I've never seen one. Because living in the tropics, it's not something that you regularly see. But you'll hear podiatrists down south, Melbourne, Tasmania, that they will mention those sort of things. Okay. So here in the tropics, probably one of the main problems, like fungal infections, are big. I mean, they're really big. There's tinea or anything that really involves heat, a lot of sweating, which can be a problem sometimes when, especially if you're working with women. Like guys are easier to work with because they'll wear clothes and joggers all the time. They'll wear clothes and shoes for work boots. But a lot of ladies, it gets a little bit more difficult if you're making something to put in their shoe, and because of the warmer weather, they don't want to wear clothes and shoes. So then that's where we had a lot of different brands of open sandals that came on the market 10 years ago that became really, really popular for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been an issue. Well, I mean, even here, how we're able to get people to wear orthotics or any type of insole inside a shoe. I'm out of focus.
You're blurry all of a sudden. What are you doing?
Sometimes this goes out of focus. I don't know why, but I
feel like I'm drunk.
Okay, it'll sort itself out. Sure. No, I'm still fuzzy. Let me just try again. I don't know why this just doesn't.
You almost had it.
Nearly.
Move your face in closer.
Yeah, and then
and then slow.
Breakfast.
It's early morning there, isn't it?
Yeah, 7. So nobody else is up.
Yeah, just you.
Not at this time to talk business, but yeah, that was always an issue of getting orthotics inside shoes. That's it, sort of coming now.
Well, we had, that's what I mean. So over 10 years ago, a lot of brands started making sandals that had removable inner soles, so you could easily put the orthotic in there. Which was just, when they came on the market, it was just an absolute godsend for us as podiatrists. It made our jobs really easy. Then you could make pairs for athletic shoes, or we could put fake bases into these shoes and a thinner orthotic that would then sit over the top. So there were a lot of options. And I used to play around with things a lot. I used to like just testing new things. And then I'd go as far as on some of the open shoes where the toes would sit in the end of the shoe. Like say, you grab my thong, for example. So you get a thong here. Say in this section here, a lot of women's shoes will have an inner sole and they have like a leather strip on there. So I'd tear the leather strip off the inner sole that was in the shoe. Throw the inner sole away, but then I would make the orthotic to the thickness of the shoe, of the sandal. Then I'd take that leather strip and I would actually stick that onto the front. Yeah. So when they put them on, it actually looked like it was still part of their actual shoe.
Yeah, and it's so a little bit of footwear modification, but and of course, then if they're in sports shoes or football boots or different things, then that wouldn't be an issue.
No, well, so you give people the option. You could put in a fake base into that sandal and make it thinner orthotic to go on top.
Yeah.
Or I usually say to them, for simplicity, just get 2 pairs.
Yeah.
I had about, like, I'd tell them, they'd ask me, how many pairs do you have? And I go, I have about 8 because they don't cost me anything. There we go. You're back in focus.
Yeah, well, that was in the other camera. We're back at focus. There we go. It just needs a bit of a reset. Give them options. But of course, it doesn't. They don't really work well with beach life. So fungal infections. Different things in different parts of the world. And so then,
another big problem we have, especially here in Cairns. My biggest article I ever wrote, that was one of the most popular articles I've ever read from my website based on Google, was why do my feet hurt after walking on the beach?
Yeah.
That was just, and because here in the tropics, you get people here will go to the beach all year round because the weather's so good. In winter, everyone from down south comes up, but it's just a beautiful place to be. So, but I mean, it was a problem all year round.
What's the sort of normal daily temperature, sort of December, January, February? Freezing. 32 to 36. Okay, sounds brilliant. Of course, you don't get snow season and ski.
During the day, it'll be 24, 25 during the day during winter.
Yeah, see, that's a good.
But at night, it can get really cold. It can get to 11.
Because when you came to Liverpool for the foot and ankle show a couple of years,
oh my God, it was cold.
It was in October, November, wasn't it? So it was.
It was October, and I think it was like 9 degrees.
Right.
And I was ready for it. I had a ski jacket and everything. I was really prepared. But I just don't. I like the cold if I'm ready for the cold.
Yeah.
But it was one of those trips. That last trip I went on was really hard because I was in Liverpool first, where it was like 9 degrees. I had all these jackets in it with me, and then I was going from there to Arizona, and it was 41 degrees. So when I got to Arizona, just that week being in the UK of 9 degrees, and then hitting Arizona at 41 degrees, it really, it wasn't one of my most enjoyable trips because you were packing for 2 different climates, which made it really hard.
Yeah, you got to pack for the thing. Well, of course, then you don't get ski seasons and those sort of things, and we never normally have too much problems fitting orthotics into boots and shoes, because. We're stuck in the more. Farmers with welly boots is always a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, but we've gone to Japan and we've gone skiing, and like I said, when you're going somewhere where it's really cold, it's fine because you're packing with the long pants and you got the thermals and you got the jacket, and that's what you're doing day in day out. So you just sort of get used to it. But what I find hard is when it's cold, like it was in the UK. And it wasn't freezing; it was just cold, but it was wet. It was that drizzly rain, and you sort of go, both. So that was a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and it's grey, and that's things. Because I mean, that's when we go skiing normally. Hi, Tom. Yeah. How's things on LinkedIn? Tom's in Adelaide.
What was that?
Just saying, we've got somebody on. So we've got a friend on who's Tom is in Adelaide. He's just joined us on LinkedIn, and farmers are always a challenge. But farmers, they turn up when the problem is long past when they should have been, because they're trying to fix it themselves.
Yeah, well, we have farmers as well. Because we're in Cairns, the Cairns before tourism really kicked off, it was a cane farming area.
He said, Ireland is free.
So you still have cane farms north and south of Cairns. You've still got cane farms in Cairns, but then you go up to the tablelands. That used to be where all the tobacco was grown, but that's mangoes, avocados, lime. So it's a huge farming industry as well. So, and that's the thing, being in Cairns too, being in a regional area, you've got to set your business up to cater for people that are driving 1, 2, 3, 4 hours away, and which is a completely different mindset when you're in a capital city. The majority of patients are If they travel 20 minutes, it's because they just happen to be, that's about it.
They're just popping in out from the CBD on a lunchtime. We used to do a lot of those.
Yeah.
There was quite a good link.
And there's probably, there might be 20 podiatrists between, in that area where they live. But when you're in a regional area or a country area, people travel a long distance. And I think when people have worked in a city and they've moved to a regional area, that's one of the things I find, if they've come and worked, if they've been an employee, to get their head around that, no, some of these patients travel 3 hours. So you can't just say to them, oh, we'll do this and we'll get you back in tomorrow. That don't work.
Yeah, it's well, we used to have that. Obviously, the distances in Ireland aren't quite good, but people were coming to see us from all over because we were doing specifically foot mobilization and treatments without orthotics. So we'd be picking people coming from the west of Ireland. So again, it would be a 4-hour round trip. So you weren't just seeing them. We used to do a country cousins where we'd see them and then let them go for lunch or so, and then treat them again in the afternoon or a couple of hours between the treatment. So they actually got certain good value from their from instead of bringing them twice a week, or as you say.
Well, that's how we ended up. That's how we ended up installing our own milling machine on site to make orthotics. Was because
by the weight.
Someone to ring up, they'd want to make an appointment. We'd always ask, "Oh, where are you traveling from out of town?" They go, "Oh, yeah, Dimbula, it's going to be 2 hours away." Mm-hmm. We go, "Okay." They tell us the sort of problem. So while we're talking on the phone, and you knew it was pretty certain they were going to get something made up, we would sort of just allow. We had certain spots in the afternoons where they could come in and say, "Hey, look, we can get these. We can have these for you straight after lunch if you want." And they go, "That would be fantastic," and it would save them 4 hours of driving home, coming back, driving back again. So
all that rubbish of having to post them out and not right, and coming back in with them in the wrong feet, and they're still getting better.
Okay, I'll tell you a funny story. Once I was doing a talk down in Tully, which is about an hour and 35 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah,
and I'm down there, and someone had organised a talk for me to come down and talk to this group of people about orthotics. So I'm all excited. I rock in there, about 50 people in the room. So I get up there and I say, "Put your hand up if anyone here actually owns a pair of orthotics." And there's one lady at the back puts her hand up, just the one, puts her hand up.
Okay.
I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And I said, "How do you find them?" She goes, "They suck." I went, "Why?" She goes, "They are so uncomfortable." She goes, "I've had them. I've been wearing them for 2 years. They're really uncomfortable. I don't like them." Okay. Yeah, and I've gone, "Well, why are you still wearing them?" I said, "Come up." I said, "Come up on stage." So she came up on stage. I said, "Take them out for me." So not only did she have them in the wrong shoe, she had them turned around the wrong way. She had the heel stuck up in the toe of the shoe, then the arch part coming down, which to her made sense, and then the heel, there's nothing under the heel. So she'd been wearing them like that for 2 years. I said, "Okay, let's take them out, let's switch them over, let's turn them around and put them back and see how she's doing." She goes, "Oh, that feels fantastic." So now everyone had a bit of a chuckle about it, but what I said to her, I said to her, "When these were fitted, take me through the process." She goes, "Oh, no, they weren't fitted. I need to get orthotics." The podiatrist did the cast or whatever back then. So just pick them up at the reception. They'll be in a bag waiting for you. There was no fitting visit. There was no. She said she tried calling to get back in, but the podiatrist just kept, "Oh, yeah, I'm too busy." They were too busy seeing the next patient. And I just went, wow, okay, that was what was good about it. It was
she's obviously quite a persistent lady then, if she thought 2 years later they were going to suddenly
Well, the thing is, she had sore feet to start with, so she already had. The funny part is, I think she was saying they helped her feet a little bit. They were just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, it just showed me that sometimes the lack of care that some podiatrists will have, and and the good part is that particular person is no longer really in business.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Funny that.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, of course, as you know, the fortune is in the follow-up, Tyson.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That just quick ring. How are you going? I mean, it's very simple.
Oh, definite.
People do slip through the net, but no, I've had that before where they got better and you checking they're the wrong feet, or you get intelligent. I remember one time this GP came in and goes, "I don't know what's going on. My knee's really sore." And I checked them, and of course he'd put them in the wrong shoes. There you go. You know your left from your right. But yeah, again, I was fortunate enough in London and to be able to make, well, majority of ski orthotics, there and then would come all over to Snow and Rock with their ski boots. So you were fitting it into the ski boot there and then. God knows how they skied because they were going on holiday. Well, that's what I'm hopefully planning later on this year. A star turn in Val d'Isere with Bernard for a couple of months and actually build ski boots or ski beds, foot beds, go ski and come back in the afternoon and a little bit of a tweak then. So you adjust it while you're on a holiday. I've always wanted that sort of nearly live. Go and skate, come back, tell me it's shit. Go and skate again, other adjustment. And just get it fine tuning. Well, there's no point coming back 2 weeks after your holiday to London to do it. I've had a couple of colleagues who have done that before, sort of nearly live, to have it on the slope. The good thing about, fitting cyclists and different things is they can pretty much try them there and then. Any little sort of fine tuning, and cyclists are pretty tuned in. I mean, I had guys who were looking at their wattage on their pressure through their pedals, and I mean they could nearly sort of feel it sort of straight away when you tweak the little foot bed or it's just a little shim, a little coin in between the cleat and the pedal just to tilt the knee slightly, and they could see on their power output wattage meters the change in power and stuff, so nearly instant, which is what people.
The good part with cyclists too is I think the good thing with some athletes, I'm not saying all athletes, I find runners a pain in the ass. So if you're a runner and you're watching this, I'm sorry, but I find some running patients, they've read too many magazines.
Runners are all about, all I need is my shorts and my shoes.
Yeah. but cyclists, people that are, like I used to get some cyclists that would come in, they'd be a pain in the butt. They had this one particular guy who came in, Adam Hansen, and he was riding the Tour de France. He was one of the Tour de France teams. And which meant he's a bloody good cyclist. So, and I've been making the stuff for him through his whole career. And he used to say the only thing he ever takes as carry-on luggage was his orthotics. Because he said, I can lose my bike, I can lose everything else and get that replaced, but I cannot replace these orthotics. So at the end of each season, he would come in, I would make him a new pair. Our goal was to try and make them as light as we could. So we would be, because he kept saying that an ounce on the foot is like a pound on the hip.
Yeah. Talking about hips, we had they just heard this morning. Geraint Thomas, ex Tour de France winner, retired from the Giro d'Italia because the second scan revealed he cycled for 2 days with a fractured hip.
They're tough buggers.
I mean, there's guys. I mean, one of the Irish guys was Dan Martin was cycling with a couple of cracked vertebrae in the Tour de France. He cracked them a week or two before. I mean, those guys are hardcore.
They are as tough as nails. But what's really interesting is the orthotic that I made for him and the way that we designed. He eventually ended up making his own professional cycling shoes called the Hansino.
Okay.
And then he actually did this big article on the Hansino shoe. And I get a mention in it, which is cool, because he said he based it off the orthotics that he got from Pro Arch Podiatry.
Did he get you to do any input into the design of it, or did he just go off?
No, he just copied my design from the orthotic. And someone said, you could hit him up for the money because it's your design. I went, yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around a bit. It all works out in the end.
Yeah, cycling shoes, it's all forefoot correction. I mean, it's a completely different way of building it. And they're only in contact with, a couple of
and I'm not a cyclist at all. I don't like riding bikes. I'd actually rather run. I don't like running.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're into your martial arts. I mean, I'm hopefully going to go back to jiu-jitsu next week after I tore my calves. The rehab's progressing quite well.
Is that why you had seaweed on yourself?
Pardon me?
I saw a photo of you with seaweed. You're in a seaweed bath.
Oh, yeah, I was over yesterday. In one of the seaweed baths, having a nice sort of steam and relax. I was in Strand Hill in County Sligo, and it
reminded me of Sigmund the Sea Monster. I don't know if you remember that TV show. Some
friends were talking about it's the pre-Halloween scary time. So he had a good soak, a good steam and a good soak, and made sure I kept hydrated afterwards. It was a pretty wild day in the west of Ireland yesterday. Set me up for
how did you tear your calf muscle?
playing tennis.
Ah, yeah, I've torn mine a couple of times. Yeah, that hurts.
Because bloody hell, it hurt. Because I had my hip, if you even remember, I had my hip done last October. So I'm now increased my exercise and load and things. And I've been playing tennis. And I knew it was in the post. I've been playing tennis for about 8 weeks. And I've been playing a couple of hours a day. And, you know, I'm taking every day, you know, it takes me half an hour to warm up in the morning and stretching. And I felt great. And after the hip was done, I had full integrated sort of, you know, biomechanics with a guy who does anatomy in motion.
Yeah.
Integrates the body, plus a little bit of PDTR therapy. Yeah, it's you can see on one of my previous videos with David McGettigan, who lectures in PDTR, post something tendon. Anyway, I've never felt as good, but I knew something was coming. As you know, new exercises, 6 to 8 weeks, something.
So before your calf went boom.
Yep.
Did you get a lot of warning beforehand, but you just kept ignoring it, and then it went bang? Nothing.
Maybe a little bit of calf tightness in the mornings and stuff. No, but about it's 4 weeks ago now. One Sunday morning, went to 5 minutes in, felt like somebody had served a tennis ball into the back of my calf. I mean, I looked around and went, did somebody just hit me with a ball? And then it was like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
And then the pain was, well, you know, if you wake up with a really bad cramp in your leg or calf, like that for about 3 or 4 hours, it just got worse and worse and worse. And thank God it wasn't the Achilles tendon. It was just the medial head of the gastrocs. So we're 4 weeks in. I've started single, went to double support, single support, eccentric stuff now.
Did you both of them or just the one?
Pardon? Just one. Pardon me?
Did you do both of them or just one?
Well, actually, when I scanned the other one, there was a little tear in the left one as well, around the same area. Yeah. So there was a hole. So, but I'm sure, like at my age, if you scanned everywhere, there would be lots of holes and lots of.
I remember when I tore mine the first time. I remember a GP telling me it's the most common injury in men over 40.
Yeah, that's what all my physio mates were telling me. Yeah. Like, road down in Melbourne. He's like, "What do you expect? You're 50 now, you idiot."
Yeah, and I was going. At the time, I was only 35 when I did it the first time, and I was off for 9 weeks. Oh, it was 9 weeks of agony of not being able to do anything. Oh, it was killing me. And then I went back. I waited 9 weeks and 1 day because I was told I couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't get back into sport for 9 weeks. So I took 9 weeks off. Then 9 weeks and 1 day, I went straight back in and tore them both.
Okay, so you did rehab. I'm rehabbing it, so I'm going to come back better. I'm also going to
rehabs for other people.
Myself some of my the TRX straps to improve my upper body. So it's 5 chin-ups by the end of October. Where are we now? 7th. Better get it practicing. But I was supposed to get my gi for my jiu-jitsu the week after I tore it, so I'm going to go back to jiu-jitsu on Friday.
Have you done that before? Have you done jiu-jitsu before?
No, this is a whole new. I already started about 6 weeks ago, or about 6 weeks ago. So it was quite.
You haven't done jiu-jitsu. It's something I would like to. Something I'd like to try.
Well, you like kicking stuff instead, don't you?
I do actually like kicking and punching things. Yeah, it's it's not that. It's just I think it's I watch people that do jiu-jitsu that are really good at it, and it is so impressive. I mean, so impressive. But it's one of those things, if there's 2 people that you're fighting and you're jiu-jitsuing one person on the ground, the other person's kicking the living shit out of you. So I think it's also good to know what to do when you're standing up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's guys who there's guys in the gym training the Muay Thai, and I mean it's quite a
they do both.
The guy who takes it is Brazilian, whether that means anything, but he's competed as well. And so some of these guys are pushing for Bellator. And then into UFC. So UFC, pretty high level. But yeah, the Muay Thai guys, it's like, oh my god, I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Kicking concrete fence posts to strengthen their legs. It's pretty nuts.
Well, we do our training, and we train on concrete. So at the moment, which is why I have my heels all strapped up at the moment because it's sore. So we're on concrete with this thin layer of carpet, and we're in this big room but we're not allowed to open any windows or doing it. It's all completely closed in so that it just gets hot. And the idea is to just punish us. So it's we go for 2 hours in the fighters class, and it's just kills me.
Well,
I'm getting too old.
I've been recommended some hot yoga. So there's a hot yoga close to the jiu-jitsu place. Yeah, and a couple of the guys go after their sessions and really like it, but they're all into their flexibility, which I was as well. So yeah, the TRX is certainly starting to beef things up a little bit. I'm just going to use it more and load it more. But no, I'm planning to come back bigger and better. Well, no, lighter and better.
But I think it's something that, like, as podiatrists, when I see a podiatrist that's not doing some form of sport, I don't care if it's table tennis, just something that keeps them active, and just that you don't have to be super fit, you don't have to have the 6-pack abs. It's just about being healthy and active, and I think you can relate to your patients better. There was a
podiatrist just off Harley Street. His name doesn't come to me, but of course you don't like slagging anybody off. But he used to advertise heavily in the back of the running magazines in the UK. And I think one comment from one of his patients was, Mr. can't remember his name, doesn't look like he can run up a flight, run up the steps in front of his office. Never mind run.
I know. I've got a friend who used to be a firefighter, and he always says that it's really important to wear your trade. He said, so as a firefighter, he used to find a lot of people, once they got in, they would get a little bit lazy, they get a little bit overweight. So they were always having to do physicals and tests, because if you have to run up a flight of stairs, you have to carry somebody down, you need to have a certain level of fitness. Yeah. And he said, even as podiatrists or doctors and dietitians, there's a certain level of health expectation that the public have.
The dietitians tend to be pretty they tend to be pretty focused on what they do. Hi Kiva, if you're watching in Dublin, she was always pretty full on. But again, I think at certain podiatrists, they worry. I mean, if they've never seen the cyclist before, or a skier comes in with a pair of ski boots and says, I want a pair of orthotics, I think they sort of start to panic a little bit if they want to see, if they haven't seen one before. And of course, you've got to sort of talk the distance runner talk as opposed to the cyclist talk, as opposed to the skier, or what they want. You got to talk to them specifically, sports specific, with the runners, fartlek or interval training and things. You need to know, and I think that's what people will worry about, that maybe they wouldn't target that audience, or that you may have skiers beside you. But they don't have the confidence. But there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of sort of help as well.
I think that's the thing. If you don't know something, if you have an interest in a certain area and you don't know it,
Google. It's called Google.
But the thing is, you're not sure about the terminology, go and buy a running magazine and read it. You only need to read one, and you'll understand the terminology, because they repeat the same things all the time. But when it comes to the biomechanics or working with runners, like I said, I'm not a fan of. I used to enjoy running, but then I just kept getting injured all the time. And I remember asking a runner who was right into it, at what point does running stop hurting? And they went, oh no, never. There's always something, because as you start feeling better, you push yourself, and then something starts to ache. But so I treated a lot of runners, even though I didn't like it, and I thought they were nuts. But it's just you slowly learn bits and pieces, and you talk to the patients, and you work out what works and what doesn't, and then talk to other people that are better at it.
Well, but it's also, again, the whole mechanics things. I mean, we're taught mechanics should be perfect and straight, and alignment and act should be average. And I've seen runners at a very elite level. I mean, one of the guys, I don't know how he did it, is 15th in the Sydney Olympics, a UK guy called Keith Cullen, I think it was, or somebody. Anyway, he came for afterwards. Turned up on his bike one day. Jesus, his hamstring flexibility, his core control were. I had better control, and this guy got 15th, and it was like he was in for a little hamstring tweak, and it was like, how the hell? I mean, that was. Well, I think Simon Bartle, we talk about the envelope of performance. Some people are a lot different from others, and so their mechanics can be. When I was training my guys, I used to show them just a short video of one of the London marathon finishes, where there's two Kenyan girls, and one is like a biomechanic dream, and another one who's racing beside her is all over the place. I mean,
Paralympics.
but we're still both about to do a marathon. One by one beat the other one by 20 seconds.
We just had the Ironman up here in Cairns. We had the Cairns Ironman up here. And so we went out and watched we had some friends that were finished. They were in the Ironman, so we thought we'd go and just cheer them on for the running league. And you see some of these people running who they've just swam 3 kilometers, cycled 180 or something, and now let's put on a marathon at the end of it just for the fun of it. And I'm watching these people jogging up and down the street, and some of these guys, and I said to my wife, I said, you would have to eat a lot of food to maintain that physique.
Mm-hmm.
With all that, because you would then have to do a hell of a lot of training to then be able to put a marathon on the back of what you've already just done. But you see some of these people running and their feet are flicking out everywhere, and other people, their arms are waving around.
Especially when they get, one of the really fun things to do is to go to the bike transition when they transition off the bike to the thing, because they've used 180K and the mechanics are completely different. And one of the tips of your triathletes out there is stand up for the last K and cycle standing up, because it activates the running muscles. Because when they get home from the bike onto the run, it's like Bambi. They're like literally. But then when you get to the end of the marathon, we're talking, elite doing 10, 11 hours, normal guy doing 13, 14 hours. I've had mates who've done that. I mean, the amount of training. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I always told patients, like, you and I, we could run a marathon today. Let's go and run it. It's going to take 12, 14 hours, but it's the amount of training that you have to do to be able to actually run a 4 or 5 hour marathon is on the day is where the issues come. But but I mean, also, there's some horrific YouTube video nasties of people whose bodies just let go in the last marathon. It's just completely, body just says no more, shut down. But I
suppose it's like when it comes to sport, and like I used to say to podiatrists, just all you need to know is a little bit about a lot of different sports just to be able to hold the conversation with the patient, because it's being able to hold that conversation, which then builds a trust with the patient. Majority of patients you treat are going to be very similar. The sort of the way you're going to treat. Yes, they might be doing different sports, but they're all very similar. So to me, I think it's important just to know a little bit about a lot of sports.
Yeah.
But then there'll be certain sports where you have more of an interest in. But even with me, I like Muay Thai, but rarely am I going to get anyone in the podiatry clinic with that, because they all train bare feet.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do a lot of running, a lot of road running to just keep their fitness, especially when it's leading up to fights and they've got to drop weight. They really start increasing their activity levels to sort of drop, 5-10 kilos, 4 weeks out.
Yeah. I had lunch with one of the guys a couple of weeks ago, a Muay Thai guy. I mean, he's lightweight. And he was like, my fighting weight's like 8 kilos below. And I'm looking at him and he's like stick thin. I'm like, how do you lose 8 kilos? He goes, well, most of it's water. I'm like, are you for real? I mean, he was. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, but as you say, it's because, and I mean, sometimes it's just to be honest with patients is great question. Sorry, I don't particularly know the full answer to that, but I know somebody who does, or I can find out for you. I'll get back to you. I mean, just be honest with patients. They'll know if you're bullshitting.
Yeah.
It's they'll know if you're bullshitting, and it's but sort of business wise, well, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, but I think if a person came in, they have a particular sport you know nothing about, you just get back to your basics on biomechanics anyway. You've still got to do the evaluation. You've still got to do all that sort of stuff, so you can hold that conversation. Yeah. Then if it's a specific sport you think, I really should look into that, then while the patient's gone, before they come back, the next visit, is dig into it. Ring up a friend that you know may treat more people in that area. Talk to them about it. So when the patient comes back in, based on what they say, we'll let you know that I should refer you to somebody else, or now I know how to fix that because I already spoke to someone and they've given me some tips on what to do. To me, it's just being ignorant when you don't know something. You pretend you do, and then the person leaves, and you just keep pretending to yourself that you do, and you don't put any effort into actually sussing it out.
Yeah, well, no, that was always the thing. I mean, that was always the interesting thing with many and varied patients doing sort of crazy. I mean, I've fitted orthotics in ski jumpers, water ski jumpers. I remember colleague Ray Anthony talked about putting orthotics into skeet shooters, Olympic skeet shooters, and they didn't move. So they couldn't walk in them, but where they could stand and skeet shoot. I mean, sports specific stuff.
Yeah, one of the weirdest ones I did, I made something for a jockey, a horse. Yeah, horses. Like
really?
that. Because he was wearing his ankle was getting worn against the side of the horse.
Okay.
So we made like a partial orthotic for his shoe, but then it wrapped up around the ankle and put this plastic, some polypropylene between him and his boot, and then I cushioned that. Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things.
I've never treated a jockey. Not for that. Okay, that's interesting.
So, but that was, he just came and said, can you, because my thing was always, I can make anything for anyone. That was all. I said, no matter what your problem is, I know I can make it. I can get my head around what to do. And so I used to throw the challenge out to people, come up with something, try and stump me. Because
I used to work with a chiropractor, and he used to do a lot of equine. So, he would adjust chiropractic on horses. But when you brought your horse to him, he treated the horse, and then he treated you to integrate you with the new mechanics of the horse.
Oh, that's weird.
A whole sort of workout. But again, it's back to the sort of basic biomechanics that we're sort of running courses on now. Is people have the knowledge. It's just that to be able to implement that, or to have the
Well, you're doing that. Are you doing it online now? Are you doing online courses?
Yeah, that's going to be starting online. Last weekend, it kept flashing up the weekend. I was supposed to be in London last weekend running courses.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. I was supposed to be in Spain this coming weekend for 2 weekends, and then back to Dublin. But no, all online now. So those are starting in a couple of weeks, and it's just have the confidence to take that knowledge in your anatomy, and common things are common. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Until proven otherwise. Pain in your tib post, it's pain in your tib post. You just got to go on sort of tissue stress to figure out what's going on.
So how's the courses you're running at the moment? Because you said you're going to explain. So are you doing these online, or are you doing them like face to face with people?
No, we're going to do a group online. So we're doing what the F is all this biomechanics stuff. The F.
I did see that foul language wrapped around that. Yes.
Yeah, and so we have that's going to be starting in a couple of weeks. It's 12-week module, and it's going to be live with a private group. And then we're going to go through sort of initial patient assessment. Why the patient are really there. They're not there because of the pain. We've talked about this before. It's what they're worried about losing out on later on. Advanced diagnostic tests. I mean, tests that actually mean something rather than going through a not just your normal routine or sport specific test. And I mean, and then a little bit of a sort of advanced sort of clinical reasoning as well, because that's what I think. Because I know talking to medics. And you know this as well. As soon as this person starts talking in your clinic, within 35, 40 seconds, you're already going through a whole sort of cascade of what it possibly could be. That when you're a year or two qualified is a little bit, we're just longer in the tooth. We just know what things are important. So those advanced sort of clinical reasoning skills.
I think the hardest part when you've been out for a while too. Yeah, when you've been out for like 10, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
Is you do things, but you don't realize what you're doing. If that makes any sense. Like, you know what you're doing and you understand what you're doing, but you're in such a habit of working with patients a certain way, and you're looking at things, and subconsciously you're just working through stuff, and you just know what to do. And then when you have a new person or a graduate, someone's only been out for a couple of years and they come and work with you, sometimes it's hard to transfer that skills across because you're just so used to.
Yeah.
To me, it's like playing the guitar. You can. What's that?
I'm sorry. You used to video record some of our assessments and treatment sessions to give to the people who were coming to work for us first, so they were up to speed. And it was through watching those we realized how we sort of triage things. But I mean, the courses just aren't for people who don't have. I mean, it's for people who are also experienced in biomechanics as well and want to sort of improve things onto the next level, or maybe are started to work more in sport-specific things like dance medicine or cycling and things. So it's
also reminding yourself. I think it's reminding yourself too of, like I said, you go through things and you don't realize you do things for a certain reason, but you can't remember why you just do it because it's just become a habit of what you do. And I think sometimes going back and just doing refresher things, even if you think you know it all, is sometimes just good to see a different perspective, and it just sort of goes, that's right. I totally forgot about that. I don't do that anymore, or I used to do it and I don't do it now.
And it's also when you're running practices like you were with associates, you want them to be looking at things in the same way as you are, because there's a crossover. We always made sure there was a crossover of patients in the clinic. So they saw me, they saw Tommy, they saw Maliki as well, because that was good for patient reassurance. Because patients were always like ask you, they try to, they're not catching you out, but they want to see that everybody's singing from the same sheet.
Yep, same sheet.
The same standard answer, because patients will test that for you in your practice. So we always made sure that they saw somebody else, so that we were actually giving them the same information and not reinforced to what we were doing. And but I think a lot of people have, it's just the confidence. They've got the masters, they've got the thing. Somebody walks in with a pair of ski boots, they're like, oh dear. So just have the confidence to work with that. So
I think the analogy I was going to say before, though, about it's like learning to play the guitar, and you can have somebody who's a really, really good guitar player. I mean, they just rip through it really well. And then you go and get a guitar and you go, can you teach me how to play the guitar? They go, yeah, okay. Just do this. And they go, bam, bam, bam. And you, as a new person, you're looking at going, holy crap, what did I just watch? And that's what happens, I think, sometimes when we've been practicing 10, 20 years ourselves. The new person comes with it and you go, oh, this is how we do it. And you run through it so quick you don't realize, hang on, they just need to learn how to do it.
It's like showing my dad how to work his smart TV at home. It's on this. And he's like, oh, hold on a second. And I go and
slow down, laddie.
It's like asking a 10-year-old to show you how to work a video game, how to play it. Do it. It's natural.
That's why it's like other than Angry Birds.
The Angry Birds. I haven't played Angry Birds for ages.
I only started playing again about 4 days ago. I started playing on my phone while I was doing something, and I went, I forgot how much I enjoyed it. I forgot how good I was at it too.
It is good. I like racing games. My friend Christopher, my Google AdWords guy, although he's transmorphed into a DeFi finance, and he's all into about blockchain and tokenization and non-fungible contracts.
I've heard of it, but I don't want to know anything about it.
It's just blockchain, which is blockchain technology, which is behind Bitcoin. They're now able to. Tokenization is digitizing something. So this is how music artists, film people who produce digital art are actually going to be able to get things paid for. So if you put up a video and you click and somebody clicks on it, you can set a fee for them to have that. So there's people making digital content, digitizing them and selling it in a digital form through blockchain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I had some people on my first podcast, It's No Secret, Dr. T, and I had some Bitcoin people on there, just about cryptocurrencies, and I had them talking about that. It was actually really interesting. And I actually did the recording with them out at their business, and it was interesting. And I just went, but you know what? There's at a certain time where you just think, I just don't want to learn anything else right now. Not that sort of stuff.
Don't worry. Buy some Bitcoin. That's all I'm saying. Buy Bitcoin before everything goes to thing, because we nearly ended up back in total lockdown here again in Ireland, and that was a bit worrying for some businesses. And I mean, just listening to some news yesterday, which I try to avoid coming back from the West, there's a lot of hotels, bars, service industries are now going to be done. It's frightening. All these, because what happened a couple of weeks ago was bars and restaurants in Dublin were going to be allowed open back up again on a Monday. I think it was on the Friday evening or the Saturday. They were told that wasn't happening, and they were into another 3 weeks. Now, what had happened was, of course, that because they'd been closed previously, everybody had restocked and beer, wine, food supplies for their restaurant, and then all of a sudden that stopped.
No, it's a worry.
That nearly happened again. But they're trying to protect the economy with keeping things over. We're level 3 apparently countrywide from today, I think. If it had gone to level 5, that would have been an end. Well, I do know friends in restaurants, in service stuff. I mean, it's completely decimated. It's for another meeting to discuss why my brother's just gone back to Copenhagen to have his tooth implant done that he had done in April.
Yeah.
They haven't closed their economy there. Everything's as normal. Pete was over. He was scheduled for an implant in March in London. His dentist cancelled. He met him in the supermarket 2 weeks after. He said, "No, we're not going to be doing this till July or August." Pete got on the internet, flew to Copenhagen 3 weeks later, sending me pictures of eating pubs and drinking. In Copenhagen, Scandinavian countries, they've decided we're going to have the same amount of death rates, but we're not going to crash our economy.
I know it's one of those things that, it's tough. Like I would hate to be the politicians making the decisions in the countries, because if you don't close, if you didn't close, and all of a sudden, maybe say in Australia, for example, like we're doing really well. Other than Victoria, the rest of the country's fine. Queensland, we're fine. Everything's open. It's all good. There's still a lot of businesses got smashed by it, but in general, we can pretty much do anything we want.
Yeah.
But if they hadn't done that, who's to say how would the virus affected Australia? Maybe everyone in Australia would be affected differently to, say the UK. So if they hadn't closed up, everyone would be complaining, and if they did close up a lot of things, and everyone complained.
Yeah,
so not much you can do about it.
It's sort of between a rock and a hard place, really. It's very difficult, but business is normal.
How do you know who is on the show at the moment? Who's listening?
How do I know who's on the show? Well, we've got Lisa. Okay, so we've got Lisa. We're live.
Lisa, how you doing, Lisa? I know this, Lisa.
Dropping patients. We are in trouble if it goes to level 5. Yeah, we're screwed. This is my podiatry colleague from Greece is on as well. It just comes up in the StreamYard. She's there as well.
That's right, we're on StreamYard. I keep forgetting. I'm so used to using Zoom all the time. StreamYard is definitely a prettier format.
We're live on 6 streams: 2 Facebooks, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And we were also on Instagram until the battery went low. And
so you don't know.
But we're there.
Because I do notice your videos popping up all over the place.
Yeah, well, it's all gone a bit. What else am I going to do in lockdown? I've stopped patient. It's been good, and I mean, it's been good helping practices. But I say now, and I mean, again, this is even before. I mean, my last podcast that came out, or the one before, was with Anthony Claffey. Anthony's a pain and movement anatomy and motion specialist. And he closed his clinic in April and decided to move completely online, and he's just consulting online now.
I can see certain businesses where Jonathan Small was talking about how, to me, the online world with consultations, it's something that you can be able to integrate it with what you're currently doing. So you may have a patient come in for a visit, you may make them some inserts, you may fit them. They live half an hour away. Maybe you don't need to have them come back in to do the consultation if you can do it via video if everything's going great. Yeah. So there's certain things that I think I can see once we get through all this, the world is going to be a different place. There is no, what's the new normal. It's just going to be different. But I can see it being, I think there's going to be a lot of good things are going to come out of this. There's going to be a lot of devastation. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. because through adversity, this is when people get really smart. When so there's going to be a lot of good things that will come out that in 20 years' time we'll look back and go, oh, yeah, that's right. That came about because of that COVID thing.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about where we were.
Consulted. I mean, I had patients who would fly in from who lived in Ireland but would be away working Australia, Middle East. One guy he was building a dairy farm in Algeria, 2 kilometers long by 1 kilometer wide. I think it had like 12,000 cows, all self-sufficient, solar run with a drill down into an aquifer. So he came for nail surgery, but was heading away 2 weeks after. So I was able to see him for the first initial follow-ups, but we just communicated by email and pictures when he was back in Algeria. So that's the it's the world's a small place. Let me just I'll just post that to Instagram. Hopefully it's working. Last week I did. So I mean, it's so there's lots of different ways to do things, but so especially musculoskeletal podiatry, pain and movement specialist. I know pelvic floor people, rehab, falls and balance and falls classes. They can all be done online. And I mean, if hopefully people have been listening to what we've been talking about, because you were on with us before in April, and we talked about a lot of this as well. And hopefully now we're 6 months later. If people haven't had their falls and balance class, again, I haven't written the blog article. Don't write the blog article about your qualifications and all this bullshit. That blog article, as you said, it got the most things. Why are my feet sore walking on the beach?
Yeah.
I used to write, we've sent off the people we're working with. Their latest blog article is 5 walks in wherever in autumn, kicking through the leaves you could be doing if you didn't have foot pain. That's the way to structure your blog. Don't talk technical. Talk to them about beautiful walks in the local area.
Yeah, I do recall. I saw someone's website once, and I was looking through it, and it was talking so much about how awesome they were. Kieran.
Yeah, get back to the way it was. What was so good about it? Of course we have. We sort of that's what I mean. I just think there's good stuff is going to pop out the other end. The way that we're doing things, like John Gianni, who was on the podcast, and he was going on about the way a lot of podiatry practices were being run were. Get more patients in. How many more people can we fit in the same period of time? How much more money can we charge him on each visit just to make more money? And you should be charging what you're worth. But he was saying that stepping back a little bit and going, no, maybe we need to provide a better service and get charged more for a better service than just keep trying to cram more patients in. So even just that outlook. Well, certain people are going to take that on board, and they're going to have better practices. Well, that was one of the that was after one of the Q&As after one of the evenings that I was lucky enough to get invited on, when I talked about ethically how you need to increase your prices. And the question answers, they were like, well, what would you suggest as a price increase? I was like, double it straight away. But it isn't this crazy Irish guy coming on just going double it. If you're going to double things, or you're going to increase your prices, you need to you need to up your game. You need to be providing such more better service to the patient. It isn't just like lump $50 onto it and do nothing different. Your whole front but that enables you ethically, if you have more money and more profit, that enables you to invest in your practice, your team, your front desk, the service that the patient will receive, all your email follow-ups, all those sort of things that should be or could be implemented in the practice. Some people are still, let's get into the 21st century and just spend 20 or 30 bucks on a clinical or a PPS system that I used to use all the time. And so then, and I know some of the practices I worked with at the start of lockdown, April, May time, now they have the patient records all computerized. So now if we go back in, they can just hit one button and SMS everybody or send them an email and a block blast rather than having to go through. I mean, it's just modern technology, so a lot of people have upped their game and have had to think outside the box. And I think it's been good in certain ways. And of course, I mean, there's been so much CPD, and there's been so much information and chats like this, and so many.
Oh, Jesus, I've never been on so many Zooms, Zoom meetings, Zoom conferences. I've spoken more this year at conferences than I have ever before, but they're all been on Zoom.
But what was that one I saw you on? You led off on that digital conference. Oh, that was March or April time, wasn't it?
There was
which one?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know I did one recently for the Canadian Society of Chiropodists.
Yeah.
Ontario, the Ontario Society of Chiropodists. Did one there. Did one in Ireland.
Yeah, I've got one of those guys on. I've got Eugene. So tomorrow, because it's International Podiatry Day, we've got a who's who. You guys, I can't get any Aussies or Kiwis on because we're doing 1:30 New York time, 6:30 Dublin time. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning with you guys. So
it doesn't bother me getting up early because
International Podiatrist that we're going to talk to tomorrow. Just a quick chat about, what are you doing on International Podiatry Day? Why do you love podiatry? And what's such a good.
Well, if you want me to wake up at 4 o'clock, I'll be up at 4 o'clock. It never bothers me. I'm doing one. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
We're all
speaking at a conference.
We're in Dubai. We're in Scotland. We're in Chile. We're in South Africa tomorrow. For International Podiatry Day, we're with Peter Wishney, Peter in New York.
Hello, Peter.
We've got
Peter at the moment is probably
Harry Kramer from Austin in Texas. We're trying to track down Dr. Dana, who's in LA, and
So you got no one from Australia on there?
Well, no, it's 4 in the morning. So anybody want to get up at 4? Any Australians want to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning? And
I'll come on at 4 in the morning.
Okay, well, we'll get you. Okay, well,
send me the link. Send me the link, and I'll come on because I'm not tomorrow, but say the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I usually go to Arizona for this conference.
Oh yeah.
So, but now they're doing there's a pile of people who are there. I think Peter Wishney might actually be in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I'm linking in.
I ran something in Vegas. A month
a while back,
socially distanced and stuff.
So I'm linking in, but I'm speaking at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So I'm just going to bed earlier and just get up earlier, and then I'm going to do the whole conference from 2 in the morning till say 10. Then I'll go to sleep, and then I'll just keep doing it. So sleep's overrated.
Yeah. It's I think my sleep patterns are a lot better now than they were at the start of lockdown. I think everybody's a little bit more twitchy, but
send me the link. Send me the link, and I'll get up for it.
Yeah, and everybody's because it'd be Federation International Podology or FIP who run the International Podiatry Day. I mean, is that you have Australian representatives on that as well? Do we?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm not politically involved with any association, university, organisation. Mostly just want to headbutt, but not allowed.
Lisa wants to know how do we join that. Lisa, it's invite only. But where are you, Lisa? Lisa? Where's she based?
Lisa is over in your part of the world in the UK.
Hi, Lisa. We could put you on the list. Just DM me separately, but we're pretty full. We can run 6 on StreamYard at a time, so there'll be a waiting room. It's sort of quick. Everybody just a quick 5 minutes just to hire from wherever they are around the world. That people who I've been talking to on LinkedIn and various sort of different groups over the last since the lockdown started. It's been it's a whole new world.
Hey, I'm gonna have to wrap up soon because
we're gonna go. So
I know I've got my my podiatry reboot thing kicking off in about half an hour. Okay. So that's why it was good getting my vocals all tuned up. Chatting here.
Work to do. I've got to organize all this and a few more things, and we're on a couple of calls later. So it's been great, Tyson. Thank you very much.
No, it's been fun as usual.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link in the morning. Once you get
I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, so it won't make any difference.
Very good. Thanks very much, everybody. Look out for tomorrow, International Podiatry Day, all day, 8th of October. We're going to be talking about all things feet. It's a lovely day here again today. So normally I'd be going out and playing tennis. Now I've got to do some rehab.
Do some rehab.
a little bit
Of,
you know, just the eccentric loading. We're on the single leg, and we're gonna start doing a little bit of weight on it, and then some plyometrics. I'll be coming back bigger and better. Well, hopefully thinner and better. So,
okay.
thank you very much.
I'll talk to you.